Hey guys, good afternoon. Welcome to the 330 Sports Show. Justin Coffin, Joe Danier down here at Youngstown Studios on this beautiful February 13th day. Um, we are going to talk about the Super Bowl just a little bit. Obviously, the largest, most watched sporting event and TV show there is out there. I saw at one point the Nielsen ratings came out, and it was by far the highest Super Bowl, and I believe the highest rated show maybe ever. It had at one point, at some point in the game, 203 million eyes on it, globally and internationally and all that stuff. But
Can I mention something right
yeah,
off the
please.
top? I love what they're doing with what Nickelodeon's doing for NFL. Did
Yeah.
you see any of the footage?
You know what? Not at the Super Bowl, but I saw it. I've seen it at a previous game. They early in the year they did that Toy Story game, and then
Yeah.
they did like the slime
What I
stuff.
like about it is like kids don't really understand what's going on in the game, and when you're watching the regular coverage, they assume you're at a certain level, so they explain some of the terminology and explain like what's going on in the field. And especially like fans that don't even know the sport, I would suggest go watch Nickelodeon to get your arms around what actually is going on.
Yeah, for like literally, like you said, not just for kids, but for like maybe those Swifties out there that might not know what's going on.
I was keeping track of how long it would take you to mention.
Oh, it was coming sooner than later.
I know.
I will say, I wish the camera was on Blake Lively a lot more. Because my goodness, she looks great. And I am a pseudo fan of Taylor Swift. Like, I appreciate her music. I think she's very talented. I don't get all the hubbub or whatever you want to call it about like all the hate towards her. And it's usually all white older males that it's like I don't hear any women. Well, I don't want to say any. I don't hear very many women complaining about it. Honestly, I don't hear a ton of guys complaining about it either, but there's this like certain demographic I feel like of our population that's like, get that girl off my TV screen. I'm here to watch football. And then do you know how many seconds she was on for the Super Bowl?
I saw what you posted. Yeah.
54 seconds total. Yeah. In the AFC Championship game, I think it was 44. Obviously a bigger game. 203 million eyes, and probably I would say, I think they said the ratings jumped 7 to 10%, somewhere in that range from last year's Super Bowl, which was the previous highest rated. So if you're saying 7 to 10% more eyes, that's probably worth 54 seconds of airtime.
So the over-under on cutaways to Taylor Swift. Did you follow that? Did you know what it was?
Well, I saw what you posted. You posted 25. Is that correct?
25.
Okay.
Now,
what do you know what the actual number was? Though?
Oh, yeah.
What was it?
So it was 6 pregame and 13 during the game.
Okay.
So they were relatively close.
Yeah, that's not bad. But I also don't think that's that much. So you're thinking 6 pregame. The pregame, I think, is because I even saw during the America the Beautiful, I think, when it was like Post Malone singing, was when they showed her and Blake Lively like swaying and singing along with it. And I'm like, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
During the game, I can understand, especially like a 49er fan or people that might just not like Taylor Swift, to be like, all right, this is a little bit annoying, but like 13 times, 3 1/4. Whatever.
Well, they're just kind of lucky that Kelsey didn't have a better game than that.
Yeah.
It would be like he does something well and they cut to him. So
he almost scored that game-winning touchdown the play before.
Yeah.
Like where he got the ball down to like the 3-yard line before they ran that next pass. So
all right, so let's talk about Kelsey and Andy Reid. Yeah. What do you think about that?
The bump?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I don't think there was any problem with the yelling, because they've been a player coach for a long time, and the respect level and all that stuff. Like, I think Andy Reid knows that was like a heat of the moment. If you're pulling that shit as like a high school or college kid, though, your ass is on the bench. And honestly, I thought that was a bad look for Kelsey, especially the bump. Like, did you see Andy Reid look like he almost fell down?
Yeah, right.
He was not expecting it. And he's not the most in shape person out there. And he's a bigger guy.
Oh, so he would have totally roly-polied it.
I was going to say, if he was either a smaller guy or totally not expecting it, his ass would have been on the ground.
Yep.
And I didn't like it from the look of Travis Kelce's perspective. I like his talent. I love the Cleveland aspect of it, but I didn't like the the kids that are watching the game and think that that might be okay. Like, I don't like what the coach did. I don't like that he took me out. I think he was mad that he was off the field for like a play or two and they turned it over. And he's like, well, if I was out there, I could have made a difference. It's like, well, that's a great mindset, but don't show your coach up and don't do that. Don't be an asshole.
Right. Well, you know what though? A lot NFL. I'm making this prediction. So NFL is about the storylines now. They're getting so many more eyeballs when there's some kind of controversy, some kind of strife between players. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got much more of that stuff, WWF type of thing.
Yeah. No, I think that's just heat of the moment, and part of me can kind of understand it as a competitor and all that stuff. Like, you want to win, and in the end, they ended up winning. But I don't like it. Like now, the contact. I don't like it.
Do you have a favorite like player misbehavior that was controversy?
Oh, I mean, there's some fun stuff out there. I remember the Antonio Brown a couple years ago with like taking his shirt off and run off the field on the sideline when he was with Tampa. Like from a celebratory standpoint, I wish so much. This is my one pet peeve with the NFL. Let players celebrate a little bit more, not taunt, not get in people's faces, but let them celebrate. And you do see that a little bit more. I wish they would let them do it in college a little bit more, as long as it's not showing up your opponent. But like Randy Moss one time in Green Bay, I think he was playing for the Vikings, caught a touchdown in a playoff game, and he like pretended to moon, like pull down his pants and moon the crowd. And like, that's what people like. You love to hate someone sometimes, and like that is so entertaining. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Like, it's not. You might turn off a few people here and there, but for the vast majority, I think that's good for the audience.
Yeah. So. I have two. One is the Zeus flag deal, where Zeus got hit in the face with the flag and he stood up to the ref. Oh, yeah. That was a while ago.
Yeah.
And my ultimate favorite is actually a high school game. I saw this video not too long ago where a player got a bad call and he ran off to the sidelines and he got all pissed off. He ran back on and he leveled the ref. Like, he went full on attack and leveled the ref. That was extreme.
Well, and that's where like you could end up in jail for something like that.
Right.
You probably should.
Because he was not a small guy. He was a big lineman guy.
Yeah, that's not okay.
No,
that's not okay at any level.
No.
At any level. Not at all. Like, you have to, like, especially referees. NFL referees are probably getting paid pretty well, but like in the high school, college level, they're not making enough money to deal with that kind of shit where they got to worry about their physical.
What would make for good TV if like HBO picked up having all mic'd up players where you can listen to the jawing that goes on, because that's just happening anyway. We might as well let people listen in on the real rivalry and shit talking that's going on.
I always thought it'd be really, really well. That's where I think it would be cool, like the swearing and like the jawing back and forth. But you might have a few words that are never okay to say that you might hear in there, and that might be where it crosses the line. You know what I mean? You might still have like don't they have like a 7-second button where you can mute it? So maybe if you're doing that, like,
but that's the stuff. That's
you
why
know
you
what words I'm talking about.
Like that's the good stuff. Come on.
It is. And by the way, it's Max now. There's HBO programming, but it's under the Max umbrella. So just saying. But there, for the most part, I think, like, I get it. The NFL literally doesn't have an off season anymore. Like, it is all storylines. Like, as soon as that game ended, the odds for next year's Super Bowl are already posted, which I saw the Browns are plus 4,000 on one site, plus 5,000. So 40-1, 50-1. That's what most teams are. Like, I think the 49ers and the Chiefs were back favorites, and they're still like 7-1.
It wouldn't be bad. Did you put anything down on next year?
No,
because that's good odds if you get it locked in.
It is.
$10 bet.
It is. Yeah. I got, I did win the, we'll come back to the Super Bowl in a minute, but Myles Garrett, I had a future placed on him. I had $20 at plus 700. So $120 won, or $140 won on Defensive Player of the Year. Nice. So not bad, which all the Pittsburgh fans are really, really salty about. So on and by the way, if you follow 330 Sports Show on Twitter or X,
I was going to tell you that
we,
the name of that.
We get, I would post something, and then there would be all these Steeler fans in my comments based on like, I was literally like saying, congratulations, Myles Garrett, like retweeting something. I don't copy and paste like some sources out there that like to do that. But if I do borrow something, I do cite the source.
Citation.
I mean, yeah, that's good.
Professional courtesy.
We are not journalists, but we provide information. And if you're borrowing that or stealing it from someone, you should probably source them, right? So
speaking of saltiness.
Not salty. I'm just spitting facts over here, Joe. So, but a lot of Steeler fans were like, well, TJ Watt's better at this and this and this and this and this. And then it's like, well, all the NFL voters watch the game, study the tape, talk to coaches, that's who they voted for Defensive Player of the Year. So Myles Garrett won it, and the Browns really swept those awards. Kevin Stefanski, second coach of the year. There's still some Cleveland fans that want him fired, which is ridiculous. You had the assistant coach of the year, Jim Schwartz, who will be back next year. You had the comeback player of the year, which Joe Flacco, which I saw some people were like, Joe Flacco versus DeMar Hamlin, who literally almost died on the field, versus Joe Flacco, who helped Cleveland get back to the playoffs. So it literally someone dying versus taking Cleveland to the play. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah,
I like that. But and then obviously Garrett. So the Browns really did a nice job. 11-5 or 11-6. That last game really, kind of was out. And the playoff thing sucked, but for the most part, a solid season for the Browns. So, all
right. So back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Any commercials that you were notable to you?
Yeah. Honestly, the very beginning, they did a bunch of movie commercials, and I think my wife was most excited about the Wicked commercials. Like good. She's pumped about that, and I think that comes out in Thanksgiving. I'm a big movie guy. Like I don't go to a ton, but when I see something I like, I look forward to it. I like that. It was a Jordan Peele. I think it's like a Quiet Place thing, but it's like maybe the beginning, the origin story of that. That looked really good, and there was a couple other ones that looked pretty solid. The Dunkin' Donuts commercial with the that was pretty good, and there was a bunch of the. I never heard of Temu before. I guess that's like
it's where billionaires shop. Did you know that?
I thought it was the discount Amazon from what I looked into.
No. So, you have to be a qualified billionaire.
So I counted at least 4 ads during the game. So $28 million, a 30-second commercial cost $7. So that's a lot of money that they're putting out there. But I mean, I left that game remembering that commercial, even though I didn't like it, or there wasn't like anything that stood out, but that name resonated with me. So I'm like, I haven't looked it up yet or anything like that, but I'm like, Temu, yeah, now I would at least hear of it. It sounds like a whale that used to be it almost sounds like Shamu that used to be at SeaWorld back in the day.
When they come up with those names, first I give them credit thinking that maybe it's something clever, something in Latin. And I'm thinking they were probably Googling names that were 4 digits. Then that was the first one that was available.
Temu.
Yeah, right.
It sounds like an Asian culture type thing.
Yep.
I don't like, do you know? I don't know.
No idea.
I'm guessing totally. I have no idea, but I would guess it's based out of like China or Japan or somewhere over there. And so just my real quick thing. Any commercials stick out to you?
Well, I was looking for the Uber Eats one where Jennifer Aniston forgot and whatever.
Oh yeah.
It was there was a couple of them that were a little insensitive that got cut out of it. I saw the original one and I was like, oh, people are going to be pissed off about this one.
Yeah.
But then they cut out the good ones. But yeah, that was probably the funniest. Not really. They were kind of boring. Did they have any Clydesdale? Anything Budweiser?
I think there was a Budweiser one in there. And I and you get up and you go to the bathroom, or you grab something to eat, you miss something. Some people literally that aren't big football fans tune in for the commercials. So, but there wasn't like anything that really was like, oh, that was the greatest commercial ever. But
Christopher Walken. That was probably
which
my
one was
favorite.
that one?
It was
Car
a BMW.
commercial?
Yeah,
Okay.
BMW commercial, and everybody he talked to was talking in his voice. It was funny.
Okay.
Right,
that must have been a pee break for me there.
Mountain Dew was terrible. I didn't like that one.
Anything with Aubrey Plaza too. I'm a big Aubrey Plaza fan. She was like riding on a dragon with that guy from a show, The Community or whatever they used to be on. Parks and Rec. Yeah, they used to be on.
Yeah, Duncan was good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the E-Trade one.
Oh, I won $25 for picking Gronk missing the field goal and the kick of destiny or whatever.
He looks so humiliated.
Yeah, right.
Poor guy.
A lot of gambling commercials this year, which you'll see that TurboTax, which falls right in line with the Super Bowl, makes sense.
And then there's apartments commercials. Those were kind of silly. Wasn't a big fan of that.
What's that guy's name? He was in like
Jeff
Jurassic.
Something.
Oh, Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, he was in like Independence Day and all that stuff. So yeah, not bad. Like again, there wasn't like life-changing commercials, but you know, they do a good job for what their intentions are. Like, you know, catch your eye, entertain you for a little bit, and hopefully for you at the end of the day, you remember the name. So
all right, what about halftime show?
Okay, so I have always been a big fan of Usher. Like, I think him and I are roughly about the same age. We're right in that. I think I would have to guess. I think he's about my age in that 40 to 42 range. Former owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers too. Former part owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers World Championship team of 2016. But he is a phenomenal performer. He can freaking move. If you're a guy bringing your girlfriend around that guy, watch out, man, because he will straight up steal your girl there. But he's good. Another pet peeve of mine is everyone is always like, worst halftime show ever or best halftime show ever. There's no in between. There's no gray area. People either love it or hate it. I'm actually in the in-between area. I thought it was really good. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad. But like, what always amazes me, I'm not always listening to the music necessarily. I'm watching like that costume changes, how many different people they're bringing in. That there was one guy in the background that looked like he got thrown in the air like 30 yards.
He's probably dead. He's dead.
He might be dead. So I mean, there's just some like he went. Like, how the hell do you get roller skates on in like 15 seconds?
It takes me 20 minutes to get those suckers on.
I can barely even tie my shoes in the morning.
I'm telling you.
So, I mean, like stuff like that.
Maybe there's two ushers. Maybe there was one roller skate usher and there was other usher.
The Illuminati usher. You know, but I thought it was good. I love Ludacris. I like Lil Jon.
Those costumes were ridiculous.
At the end, I saw somebody look like the purple cobras from Dodgeball.
Yes, they were so bad.
So I mean, it's so bad it's good sometimes, you know. But Alicia Keys is really talented, and this sounds so lame and so maybe being a guy of me, but I had no idea because I've only seen Alicia Keys on a piano. Like I don't remember her ever seeing her perform standing up. I was like, damn, she's got a dump truck. So, but I was like, she's hippie, but she's a phenomenal performer. So I don't know. I thought it was really good. What'd you think?
I was, you know, I'm with like you, impressed that they can set up a stage, do a performance all within a couple of minutes. So the logistics behind that just blows my mind. Music's not great. Live performances are, you know, it's tough to do that, make it sound good. And, you know, they didn't want to do like a Jessica Simpson where they were lip syncing the whole thing to make it sound good. So, you know, I give it a C+.
Okay. Yeah. I'm there. I'm probably right in that range. Like, I think the actual performance is probably in that A to B range, whereas like the music was probably in the B to C range. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Overall, solid, you know? So let me ask you this. That's just triggered my thought for the end of the game. Did you know the new Super Bowl, or the new playoff overtime rules? No, I didn't.
No.
Like I knew there was these different rules. But when he literally said the official, we're going to start a new game, they were literally starting a new game. So it goes, if they wouldn't have scored there on that last play with 3 seconds left to win the game, like it would have went to a second quarter. So it wouldn't have restarted and then a kickoff and stuff in a new overtime. No. The Chiefs would have still had the ball there with, to start a new 15-minute period. I wonder if they would have brought Usher back out if neither team scored for a second halftime. But no, I would imagine they would have kept playing. So basically, they played 75 minutes or 74 minutes and 57 seconds of football. And then, do you know what the total on this game was? It was 47 and a half. So the game finished 25-22, 47. They didn't kick the extra point at the end of the game because it was a walk-off winner. They didn't have to. So people that bet the over were probably like, come on, 47. But yeah, the under people were very happy with that result. But
close one.
And then, of course, they were right on. When I saw the lines, I think it moved down to 1.5, but originally it started at 2.5. So, I mean, these guys are freaking good. They know exactly what they're doing. Coin toss. Over under. So Vegas always wins because like it's -10, -110, -105 or whatever. It's never like even money. It's never like -100, because they got to make money on their books. So previous to this game, it was tails 30, heads 27. I believe heads won to start the game and tails won in overtime. But I don't know. I just always think that stuff's fascinating. Kansas City, those weird stats. I saw like they were 19-1 under a waxing crescent moon their previous 20 games. So now they're 20-1.
So wait a minute, go back to that. So this is a literal coin flip that has a 50-50 shot. How could there be a more advantageous, like heads having worse odds than tails? How is that?
I think because more people bet on tails. Because there's, those tails never fails. And like, there's, I don't know, but it's whatever, they probably adjust the lines depending on how the money comes in so they can kind of even it out on both sides, but the house will always win. So, but a lot of money was on the Chiefs in this game. So the books probably didn't do great on that, but it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes anymore. I've fallen for it 2 years in a row now. And if they make it back next year, I will be betting Kansas City. I don't care who they're playing. So until they lose, it's like you can't bet against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Another thing that every year it's the same talk. Mahomes is better than Tom Brady. What say you?
Yeah. I mean, he's 28. He just won his third title in 5 years. I think has he been to 4 Super Bowls? He's been to 4 Super Bowls. So the Chiefs are technically a dynasty because they always say it's like 3 titles within a 5-year span. They're only one of like, I think 3 or 4 teams to ever do that. The Patriots, the Steelers back in the 70s, and then the Cowboys, I believe, are the only 4 franchises to do that. And so it's hard to say he's not quite there, but I mean, was Tom Brady of 6 or 7? Patrick Mahomes is 28. Tom Brady played till I think he won his last Super Bowl at 43. So if you give him 15 years to win 3 more, it's not out of the question.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't think it's like one of those like LeBron, Jordan type things. It's different eras, but I think Mahomes is just really good. Like, and they did not look like it all year. They did not look like even a top 4 team in the AFC most of the year. And when the dust settles, they're still on top. So you got to give them credit, whether you think it's conspiracy theory to get Joe Biden elected in November and and Travis Kelce was going to get engaged to, to Taylor Swift after the game or whatever, or it's just like, maybe they're just good. I don't know. So I was wondering if either Travis Kelce or Andy Reid would retire after this game. Doesn't sound like it, but sounds like Andy Reid's coming back for sure. But Kelce said, "I'll see you next year" in the speech. But sometimes you got to think about those things. Your body might tell you something different in March than how you're feeling after a championship.
Well, Andy Reid has to consider that Kelsey's on the team. Like
Yeah.
his body might not handle it either.
Exactly. So I don't know. Travis Kelce too. Again, there was a video out there, and he's singing like "Viva Las Vegas." It was pretty cringeworthy. And I immediately in like a text group was like, and that's when Taylor Swift wrote her next breakup song. In her mind, it was like I just hear him singing that song, and it was like, oh man, but I'm happy for the Chiefs. I'm happy, it was one of those games where it's like I hope the 49ers win, but if they don't, I'm okay. Like the Chiefs don't bother me. I like Patrick Mahomes. I like Andy Reid. Travis Kelce, I mostly like. Taylor Swift doesn't bother me.
Well, going back to that whole Taylor Swift thing, I don't think we spent enough time on this show talking about Blake Lively. We kind of skimmed over that.
Yes.
We need to give a little
favorite Blake Lively movie.
What is that movie where they get that they make that school, the South Harmon Institute of Technology shit? You never saw that one?
I don't know that movie.
Oh, it was
Okay. My favorite one has to be The Shallows. Have you ever seen that? She's in a bathing suit the whole movie, but there's like a shark. There's like a shark following her. It's basically just her in Hawaii swimming. So, yeah, we'll have to look up her IMDb and see what we think there. But
go back and reminisce over because what David Njoku does for me in one department, Blake Lively does for me in the opposite.
I mean,
department.
she is, she really hasn't aged. She looks great. Ryan Reynolds is doing pretty well.
Accepted.
Accepted. I remember that movie. Okay. Yeah. With the kid from
this dude,
Justin Long.
Yep.
Yeah. The kid from Dodgeball. But yeah, she's had a nice career. I think Adidas will appreciate their stock boost in those red tracksuits.
Yeah. What's her connection? Is she dating anybody, or is she just a friend?
Well, no, she's married to Ryan Reynolds, isn't she? I think. Ryan Reynolds is about as big
I don't remember those kind of things.
I didn't see no ring. But no, Blake Lively is she deserves as much airtime as they want to put her on. So
all right, back to the Super Bowl. Okay. Now we got that out of the way. So comparing that game with all other Super Bowls, what do you give it grade wise as fun to watch or competitive or whatever?
Yeah, I don't necessarily like to give out grades for that. I don't know, but it was a really good Super Bowl. It started slow. I really think the 49ers shot themselves in the foot early in the game because they dominated the Chiefs, especially that first quarter. I think they were like 150 to like 15 yards at the end of the first quarter, but they had that fumble inside like the 10 or 15 yard line, and they would have scored a touchdown there. So instead of being up at the half 17-3, they were only up 10-3. And Patrick Mahomes, I think, has won all three of his Super Bowls down 10 points. So it's like if you could get up 2 full scores, then you got him. But overall, from a game perspective, pretty good. There was a couple really long field goals. I can also blame San Francisco's loss on a Michigan kicker because although he did initially set the Super Bowl record for longest field goal, it was later broken in the same game, which is crazy. But if he doesn't get that extra point blocked, they're up 4 points instead of 3. That game, Kansas City has to score a touchdown on their last drive or else game's over, and that missed extra point, blocked extra point was so harmful to the 49ers because that put the game in overtime. And then, like I said, like that the different overtime rules. So let me ask you this: in a normal overtime, the game plan is to take the ball because you are not guaranteed the ball if the other team scores a touchdown. In this situation, both teams are guaranteed to to touch the ball unless there's a safety or a defensive touchdown, on the first possession. So I think the strategy in the NFL playoffs over time is to play defense first, the kind of the college format, as opposed to the normal situation where you're like, I want the ball. If I go down and score a touchdown, game's over, So what's your thoughts on that?
So I'm going to go with the commentator's opinion on this, because it made a lot of sense that if your offense was just on the field and they need to rest up, then I may defer, give my offense just a little bit of catch their breath and whatever. So.
Yeah, I understand that. I can understand that. And I think being so new to this was like, I think maybe only the second or third overtime game by those rules. And some of the 49ers players admitted they didn't even know the rules, which, you plan for a lot of situations, but sometimes it's like every little minute detail you might not have the full coverage on, and some guys might not grasp it. So I don't know.
That's a little concerning if the players don't know the rules and they're playing.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, because I think even when they were like the official was explaining it, some of the guys on the 49er sideline, I'm sure probably some on the Chiefs sideline too, if they would have lost, would have said the same thing. But they were like, oh damn, like both teams get the ball, like no matter what. So apparently that was the voice they used too. I don't know why I changed my voice, but yeah, no, that's I don't know, but I think a lot of coaches are going to look at the Super Bowl now, if they're a playoff team heading into next year, and they're going to really emphasize that point. The 49ers maybe downfall could be help another team in the future, maybe situationally, of like, maybe you put your defense, because hypothetically, let's say the 49ers hold the Chiefs to a field goal first. They know all they got to do is kick a field goal to tie, but if they score a touchdown, they're going to win the game. So, it puts your defense, or it puts your head coach, actually more your play caller, in a more beneficial situation.
Yeah. And what I like most about both teams is I think both of them were not a complete team. They were both very vulnerable in certain areas. So, someone wasn't going to run away with it. It was going to be a competitive game. In the past, you had, super teams like the Eagles put together something, and the Patriots always put together something. This was a different one for sure.
Yeah. Actually, Kansas City's defense was the better aspect of their team. And then you just have Mahomes, who can lead these late game drives, kind of unfortunately like our old nemesis, John Elway. Fuck Elway.
For sure.
And then the 49ers have a great roster, but not necessarily a proven guy at quarterback. So, I don't know. Overall, a pretty solid game, though. So, if you want to grade from me, I'll say a solid B.
Thank you for answering that question. Because how much did you appreciate?
That was like a 10-minute long way of saying B.
You said F you right off the get-go, and then you gave me the grade on the other side of it. What if you asked one of your guests over here, like, what do you like this or that? And they're like, I really don't. I don't want to really put anything behind one of those other. Make the other feel bad.
They put the F you in fun.
So what sports are next that we should pay attention
Pitchers and catchers have reported for spring training. I know the Cleveland Guardians players. It's still weird to say Cleveland Guardians. We're going on the third year of that. But Cleveland Guardians pitchers and catchers have reported to Goodyear, Arizona, as I'm sure many other baseball organizations have reported. And then I think like your positional players report next week. The pitchers need to like stretch out their arms a little bit more and kind of like build up that stamina, whereas the hitters can kind of come in and you're doing different types of training. So that's on the horizon. You got March Madness on the horizon.
Now, do you watch any hockey? I
will watch a little bit of playoff hockey every now and then, and I haven't been to a game. I've been bad about it. I think I've been to like 3 Phantoms games before, but like that's a really cool environment too. And last year, I mean, they won the Clark Cup, the title in their division. So, I mean, that's a pretty fun brand of hockey. Those kids end up getting, scholarships to go to big time schools. I know there's some, a lot of Big Ten players that will eventually go from the Phantoms to Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, whatever it might be, and then maybe even drafted in the NHL after that. So
There's some
that's
talent
pretty
on
good,
that team.
no doubt.
And I don't follow professional hockey on the
Mhm.
NHL level, but the Phantoms are always good to watch.
I have been to one Columbus Blue Jackets game before, and that arena is a lot of fun down there in Columbus, Nationwide Arena. And I haven't been to a Pittsburgh Penguins game in a long, long time, but I used to go to when it was called the Igloo over there in Pittsburgh when I was like a younger kid. And then Cleveland had the Lumberjacks back in the day, and I used to go as like a teenager and stuff up to those games. Hockey's always fun to go to in person. I highly recommend it because it's fast, it's entertaining, it's physical, and they're very skilled, but you don't always appreciate that on TV. So yeah, hockey's fun. I just don't watch it.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Can I say one more thing about the Browns?
You can say whatever you want, Joe.
This
This
is
is your
just like-
studio.
All right. So the news about them buying some property outside of Cleveland for a Browns stadium.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Personally, I would like it downtown. But I think it's called Brook Park is the town. It's like maybe 5 miles from the airport, and it's maybe 10 miles, 12 miles from downtown. So it's not too far from the downtown area where you're like sucking the life out of downtown. I think a lot of people would go downtown and then maybe Uber to the game or, park, maybe go eat or go to some bars up downtown and then go to the game after, or vice versa, whatever it might be. But the location is probably nice. And if you look at a lot of these NFL, like I know where the Chiefs play, it's in the middle of nowhere. Like it's not in downtown Kansas City. If you look at the Rams and Chargers where they play, Inglewood, that's nowhere. Well, it's near LA, but it's nowhere near the city.
Right.
So it's like you do need a lot of land. But if the city of Cleveland, and again, I'm sure they don't want to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes and taxpayer money. I get that. And that's a whole other discussion. But if they're not going to work with you on what you want with a vision, then you might have to say, this isn't an idle threat anymore. We're going to go buy this, whatever 170 acres of land is. And if you're not going to work with us, we're going to build that there. So
a little bit of leverage, a little threat that look how serious we are kind of thing.
My only qualm with anything they want to do, and it's not even an argument yet because we haven't seen any plans, you have to put a roof on that thing. I don't care if it's retractable. Retractable is the best of both worlds because if it's nice, open weather, sunshine, the wind, the breeze, whatever. But when it's snow flurries or when it's cold and miserable, like I get the whole sentiment of like football is tough guy, cold weather. No, it's not. No, it's not. Like I think that's an old adage from like the 70s, 80s.
What if we put snow machines on the side so that we could blow snow on the field and have it under a roof, like they do skiing? Or
to each their own.
That's
to
it.
Each their own.
That'd be awesome. Muddy it up a little bit. We can still have.
I don't even mind if they cut like a tiny little open hole in the top. Whatever. Do whatever you want, but make it where you can have it all year round events, because think about the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars they're missing out on. So I'm not a WWE fan. I don't watch it, but think about a WrestleMania event in the city of Cleveland where you can have 70,000 people there. The millions and millions coming in. Think about a Final Four in Cleveland. Think about a Big Ten championship or even an Ohio State playoff game. Ohio State, the way they play football, does not want to play outdoors in December. They want to play on a fast track in a controlled climate. I'm thinking Ohio State would probably have their playoff games in Cleveland because the horseshoe is the horseshoe. It's iconic. You're not putting a dome on that. But you also play home football games only till November. So if you have the option of playing in Cleveland That's an hour and a half, hour and 40-minute drive up from Columbus. You play that game in Cleveland, you're getting the vast majority. It's gonna feel like a bowl atmosphere because you're not in your home stadium, but it's gonna be all Ohio State fans. So you'd think an Ohio State playoff game or Big Ten championship game. You think Final Four. You could, I mean, there's unlimited events, conferences, conventions, whatever. You put it in that stadium, Taylor Swift concerts,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. And I know she's played in Cleveland before in July or May or something, but that's when the weather's nice. And so to have a venue only, let's say 8 home games, 2 preseason, and then 2 concerts a year. So you're talking 12 dates out of 365, but you still got to keep all the upkeep. You still got to do all the, the plumbing, the electric, all that stuff. It's not worth it. So if you can fill that with 100 to 200 more dates, think about all that revenue that comes in, all the jobs. So it's not just for the Browns, it's for the city of Cleveland.
Right.
So
Here's an interesting. Let's say hypothetically they move it outside of the downtown.
Mm-hmm.
They can build up a ton more in the complex and the facility. It can be a lot more parking, whatever. Do you think they bring the training facility from Berea and build a Cleveland Browns campus?
That would be cool. I don't see why not. I mean, Berea's probably not very far from there because I know Berea's right by the airport. So at worst, you got a 10-minute drive from the facility to there.
As a fan, so much easier to get into, so much more parking near the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I think the footprint in Cleveland's a little small to be able to probably do a lot of what they'd like to do.
Yeah. And if you think about it too, what that could mean for downtown is you have all that room on the lakefront where they should be building restaurants, bars, make it like a mini Chicago. Cleveland's not the size of Chicago, but it has the potential to be just as nice, if not as nice as the city of Chicago with that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Like, would you rather have it downtown or would you rather have it outside?
Coin flip, man.
Yeah.
I love elements of being downtown, but I just know that we're never going to get the technological marvel on that plot.
Yeah. And from what I hear, it would be like wherever that airport, I don't know if
Burke Lakefront.
Is that Burke?
I think so, yeah.
So wherever that is, that's kind of where they would envision it. But you still have the same problem because Cleveland, like many others, or like very few other cities, you can only go east, west, or south. You can't go north.
Right.
So there's only 3 entrances unless you're having a bunch of people pull up in boats, So you got Lake Erie there. It's a nice feature to have, but it also limits your access in and out of the stadium. So
it's a cluster getting in and out of there sometimes.
Absolutely. It really is. There's the Muni lot and there's all those side streets and like different ways to get downtown, but it is not convenient. And to your point, that might open up a lot of, and maybe, it just extends the downtown area and or maybe that opens up some things. But I would like to see downtown be a lively venue for sports, for entertainment, for all that stuff. But you're not taking away. I think you're adding to, you're taking somewhat away from the downtown, but if you're bringing in that many more dates, people are going downtown to stay downtown in hotels. People are going to go eat. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of restaurants and whatever built up by there too, but it's like, that's only going to benefit the city as a whole, no matter if it's in Brook Park or downtown.
Yeah, so I just like that, you had Jacobs Field, Gund Arena, and the I know. It's
not 1993, Joe.
I know, but I just like how that row of all of our stadiums was so impressive.
It really is cool. And Cleveland is a city that thrives based on its sports teams because, there are a bunch of Fortune 500 businesses down there, but it's not the New York City. It's not LA. Cleveland is known for its sports teams. And those cities kind of are in a way too, but Cleveland thrives when its sports teams are doing well. The Cavs are killing it right now. The Guardians, they actually have been doing well in attendance last year. But when the Browns are doing well, there's no better place to be than downtown. But just put a roof on it. And if anybody can tell me why, if anyone that went to that, was it the Saints they played on the Christmas a couple of years ago, and it was like -10 degrees. Did anyone have fun at that game? That sounds absolutely miserable to me. Whereas, you go into a climate controlled, the nicest stadium I've ever been to is Lucas Oil, which is in Indianapolis. But the other people I know, they said the nicest stadium they've ever been to is in Minneapolis, another cold weather city, very similar size to Cleveland. And it is the nicest stadium in the NFL. It looks like a freaking pirate ship because they're the Vikings, but it is beautiful. It's nice. It has glass windows, so you have the outdoor indoor feel. And so my only thing would be just get it right. You got to get it right. There's no like half-ass in it. If you're going for it, do it right. And hopefully they don't put the taxpayer money on completely on the line. They have some sort of negotiation and bargaining there. So
you would think though, like if a city invested in a stadium, that it should be a net benefit. Like it really should be, not something that you put money into. It's like people would be vying to get that for all the activity they're bringing.
And to your point there, you think of, okay, well, if you guys help us out with this stadium, and I'm sure it's going to be into the billions. I'm sure it's going to be, at this point, it's probably going to be like a $2 billion investment. However, over the course of those 20 years, instead of going from 12 events over those 20 years, so you do some quick math, we're talking like 220, 250 events to 200 a year. So we're now talking about 400 or 4,000, whatever it might be, events. That's a heck of a lot more money coming into the city versus, a couple dates a year.
Yeah, and if Buffalo needs our stadium, we'll charge them triple.
Exactly. Yeah, come on over, Buffalo. We're nice people. Yeah. You can jump through some tables and light some shit on fire, whatever you need. So we got wings too.
Oh, absolutely, better than yours.
Yeah, agreed.
Shots fired.
So I mean, I think that's really all I got.
Okay.
You got anything else?
It was good. We had to, really go through the evidence of the Super Bowl. I think we did a good job covering
more Blake Lively.
More.
We can never. I've really shrunk down in my chair here.
I was noticing that. Like I was going to bring her.
I think I accidentally hit the button there, but
I didn't know if you were slouching or you were depressed. Or...
I have like an on-air posture.
Okay.
And then my normal.
But you get comfortable, and then you just start. Getting into it.
It's just like an indoor stadium, Joe. You make this place too comfortable, and I start slouching.
And then people just hang out all freaking day, and you can't get rid of them.
Get out of here. Yep. So, so we'll have more shows, but I'm actually kind of happy football season's over. It's nice to put it to bed. I need kind of like a football break after all that. So, hopefully next year we're talking about the Browns.
Can I make a recommendation?
Yeah.
All right. Sundays between 1 and 4 o'clock. Now it's open. You don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
Invest that time into something that's beneficial.
Exactly.
Spiritually uplifting.
Are you talking to me or are you talking to the people?
You. But if anybody else.
Yeah.
But develop something. Like don't just squander that time now. That it's freed up.
Believe me, my time right now is invaluable. I will any free time I get where I can sneak even a 20-minute nap or work on something that I've been dying to work on, I will do that as much as I can. So
this is a gift to you.
Yes, this is the gift that keeps on giving at least until April. 2 weeks from now. Yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, so we'll be back with more. Joe Danier, Justin Coffin. Make sure to follow Youngstown Studio and the 330 Sports Show. Everybody, enjoy your day, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on